Well, hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to another Fundamental Labs session today. If this is your first one, welcome in. Super happy to have you all today. We're going to be jumping into all things Income Center. It does say Planning Center up there, but we recently changed it to Income Center. So all things Income Center today. We're going to be jumping through a whole lot of stuff, a lot of content today. But before we do that, just a brief introduction. My name is Ian, part of the coaching team here at Nitrogen. And I'm joined today by Stephanie. Stephanie, how you doing today?
Hello, there we go. I'm slow on the unmute. I'm doing pretty well, Ian. Glad to be here. Glad to have everybody with us.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, like I said, today is all about Income Center. We'll be jumping in before we get to the content, just some housekeeping items for you guys. So, you may have noticed the lines are muted when you jumped into the session today. That's just so that we can focus on the topic at hand. But that said, we love to interact with you guys. We'd love to get your questions. So, jump into the Q&A box in your Zoom window. Drop your questions in there. If you want to leave us a comment, feel free to jump into chat as well. And then we're going to have a few polls throughout the session. We just want to get sort of a sentiment check for you guys, see how things are going, see how we're going to be running some hands-on activities. So seeing how those activities land with you guys, we want to get more information there. And then there will be an after session survey as well. Again, that's just so we can get more information and continue to make our content even better. Now, in terms of what we're going to be learning today, what the agenda is going to look like for this session, we're going to be going over, like I said, all things Income Center. So we'll go to the next slide here, and we're going to start the session out with something really simple. But I think impactful, and that's translating risk into retirement readiness. We'll be talking about retirement maps, and then moving into how we can actually illustrate income and expense events and deliver those actionable insights with stuff like reporting and other pieces there. So we have quite a bit to cover today. Like I said, it's going to be an interactive session. We're going to have some activities for you guys to go through. So feel free to follow along with us. And then if you want to give yourself some time during those activities to actually jump in your account and do those points and clicks, we would love for you guys to do that. Now, before we get into the first section here, translating risk to retirement readiness, I want to call out a few things in terms of like resources. How can you guys continue to get more help after today's session? Now, one thing I didn't mention is inside of your Zoom window, you're actually going to see a resources tab there. That is where you can access some resources that we have ready for you guys. Some just basic information on what we're covering today. Today is going to be a lot about like use cases. So we might not be covering individual points and clicks and going super slow there. But if you want to get more information on the individual points and clicks, definitely check out that resource. And then in general, while you're working in Nitrogen in the future, a great place to go is that help center on your right-hand side there. This is going to be where you can access all of those training resources. So we have stuff like guided tours, we have our knowledge base, so help articles there. If you like content like this, training webinars, jump in there, take a look at what's coming up, take a look at what we have had in the past. We have recordings in there, and then our quick video tutorials as well. That's going to be our YouTube library of all those shorter videos in there. And then something newer in here, actually, checklists has been added. So if you want to just focus in on a particular area, maybe like income center or risk center, we have checklists in there for you to focus in on those. So definitely check that out. That's a great place to go. And then the last call out here, and then I'll hand it over to Stephanie. Our support team is fantastic. We have 24/7 support. We have that chat bubble that you can click on in the bottom right-hand corner. That's a great way to access our support team. But not only do we have live chat, we have phone and email support. So if you're wondering how do I get that number? Where do I access that? Go to the help center there. You'll see that contact us and those little icons for each one of those. So that's how you can continue to get more help. And with that, let's move into the first section here. So translating risk into retirement readiness and using stuff like the retirement map. So Stephanie, pass it over to you for that.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks, Ian. So yes, let's dive in. Hopefully you've had a chance to get into your own account and sort of explore, portfolios, proposals, maybe a little bit of the income planning and retirement map area. So that's where we're going to be going today. But just kind of imagine you're setting the stage, you're sitting down with a prospect or even an existing client, and you want to show them the long-term probability of their retirement goals based on, whatever investment path they are traveling right now. You can do that with the income tab. Now, this subscription, I'll kind of make a note here. The Income Center is a part of Elite, or kind of an add-on. So if you have like Risk Center and Income Center, you would have these in your account. So hopefully you have access to that as a part of your subscription. So you could try it out a little bit today and explore it. But this income is where you can show them, again, what's the long-term impact. We hear from advisors when clients are asking, like, are we going to be okay? Can we retire when we want to? Will we have enough money? They jump into the retirement map in Income Center to have those conversations, really high level. So in the Income Center, it all starts with this sort of retirement map, and that is created by these inputs down at the bottom. So obviously in our example right now, all of this is already been filled in, but you can come in and fill this in based on the client or prospect that you're going to meet with. If this is a part of your meeting prep, maybe you want to prepare a retirement map for them ahead of your client conversation, you can do that. You can enter in their investment amount, if they're saving anything ahead of retirement, what that retirement year is, or monthly withdrawal. You can even adjust for things like life expectancy and inflation. So we have some fine print down at the bottom if you want to understand these inputs a little bit more, highlighting that our calculations are pre-tax, and, pro tips on how you fill those in. But that's where the retirement map starts, is this list of assumptions down at the bottom. And then once you have those filled in, you'll get this nice map at the top. So how can you actually talk about this? You can show clients or prospects, hey, based on whether we follow your current portfolio or we invest you in a proposed portfolio, let's take a look at the long-term future, the long-term picture. So let's say we go with your proposed portfolio. We're going to reduce your risk number a little bit. Even with that, with our proposed investments, we can set you up for that long-term success to make sure that you're going to be okay, that you have enough to live off of. So that's a really high level, again, simple conversation you can have. And then there's some other like levers and layers that you can sort of add into the retirement map. So let me see if we're going to be talking about those. Yeah, make sure I'm not like stepping on Ian's toes and jumping ahead of myself. But one of those areas that you can add in different information and components into the retirement map is the timeline. So this little drawer on the right-hand side, this little purple column, you can open that up. It may be automatically open when you navigate to the retirement map. But this is where you can come in and add other life events. So beyond just how much they have saved and how much they want to live off of, what are other things that they need to consider? Do they want to add in like pensions or social securities or other one-time income, recurring income? Are there life expenses that they want to plan for? Again, this is a very simple way to add these things in. Think of it as sort of your light cash flow planning tool. It's not going to be as robust as maybe other cash flow planning tools out there, but it's built into the system that you're already using. So you can come in here, add life expenses, maybe one time or recurring. Maybe you add a portfolio risk adjustment. They're taking on more risk now, but then you're going to help them lower that risk as they get older. Whatever it is, when you add events into the timeline area, they show up here at the bottom. So we can say, oh, hey, here's that RV purchase. Here's our annuity income, like fixed income from annuities. We can illustrate that. Here's our Social Security income. So you can see all of these life events show up on that bottom timeline. So that's a great way that you can add a little bit more detail. So if you want to take that conversation another layer deeper, you can. Now, when you are looking at these long-term projections, We have a couple of other tools. You can add a stress test now. So maybe you want to say, okay, well, we're looking on track for your retirement savings, but what if you approach or hit retirement and we have another bear market or a financial crisis or something like that? You can actually stress test their income now. So we can drop one of these in, let's say 2040, make sure I have my numbers right. Actually, let's do 2042. So we apply that stress test, and then there's another sort of event on our timeline. And you can quickly edit and try different stress tests to show clients, hey, even if we experienced one of those sort of less predictable market conditions, we're still going to be okay. So it's all about showing them that picture of, yes, you've saved enough, or no, we need to make some changes. And nitrogen may even give you some bubbles here in sort of the top middle of your screen for adjustments you can make. Maybe they're positive adjustments, like letting the client know they could retire early. Maybe they're adjustments that the client needs to consider to achieve a successful retirement. Maybe they need to save a little bit more, retire later, something like that. It's all based on the numbers here as a part of the assumptions in the bottom. So it's a very high level outlook right here. Ian, before we go into our activity, anything that I missed on this sort of first introduction before we give folks some hands-on time in retirement maps?
Yeah, so I think this is actually where I'm going to interject here and mention our new tool, Nucleus. So Stephanie did an amazing job of going through all of the steps here of getting this set up, right? And it's actually a fairly simple process. But now we have a new tool, an AI agent called Nucleus inside of client profiles. Now, if you see this sidebar here with that little panel that will open for you, that lets you know you have access to Nucleus. And as sort of just a disclaimer here, we're working to get everybody access. So if you're part of a BD or a firm that doesn't quite have access to it yet, just know that we're working on that. But if you do have access to it, Nucleus is an AI agent. So basically, you could come in here and tell it, hey, I want to create a retirement map for this client, Adrian. And it's going to ask you, okay, what are some of the few inputs that I need to create this retirement map? It's going to get probably like the date of birth, the retirement age, stuff like that. It's going to just gather that information for you and said, all right, I can go ahead and make that retirement map. Let's do it. And it will create it for you. So you don't even have to go in there and click through all of those menus and inputs and do all that manual entry yourself. Nucleus will now do it for you. So I want to call this out because Nucleus is really going to be sort of a partner here, an AI assistant for you inside of Nitrogen to get these tasks done even quicker. And yeah, if you guys want to learn more about Nucleus, we'll drop a link in the chat here for more information there. But I always like to say, if you want to know what Nucleus can do, just go in there and ask it. You can say, hey, what can you do for me? It's going to spit out a whole list of items that it can help you with. And so I just wanted to sprinkle that in here as we're going through retirement maps. But like Steffi said, we do have a quick little activity for you guys to run through. We want to give you some time to build your own retirement map. So jump in there, either do it manually or maybe play around with Nucleus, see how it can set it up for you. Either way, we're going to give you about 5 minutes here, then we'll come back and move into the next section.
Awesome. Perfect. Yeah, I'll pull that up. Thanks, Ian. Yeah, for telling us about Nucleus.
Yeah,
Super
for
fun,
sure.
exciting development. All
For
right,
sure.
here we go.
right. Well, welcome back, everybody. Hopefully, you had time to jump in there, create your own retirement map for yourself, or even prompt Nucleus to do it for you. But let's keep this train moving here. So next stop is gonna be another spot inside of Income Center, and Stephanie did a really great job showing us how to build out that retirement map for your prospect or for your client even. And determine where their probability of meeting their goals over long term is. Now, let's dive into the next piece here, which is how can we illustrate um, even deeper, illustrate where those dollars are coming from inside of retirement. So taking a look at now the decumulation phase, right? We took a look at accumulation. Now let's take a look at decumulation and show our clients where each one of those dollars is coming from over time inside of once we reach retirement. So to do that, we're going to navigate to the income by source here in this subheader. You'll see next to retirement map there. And here is where you can see instead of abstract numbers, your client sees an actual picture, a living picture of their retirement cash flow. And it's a really powerful way to make a complex financial planning process just more tangible and spark meaningful conversations. So here you can see this is income by source, and just want to sort of break down what we're looking at here first. So on the top, let me grab my annotation tool here. On the top, we're going to say, okay, we're looking at this invested like option. We're looking at that proposed portfolio, and that's where we're deriving the illustration from here. Now, as I'm going to skip down to the graph here for a second, because as we look at this, there's a few things to take into account. The first thing is the big or the sweeping black line across your screen here. This line here, if I can draw an arrow very finely there, that line there, that black line is our income need. Now, every single bar coming up to this line is showing you, okay, what account are we using to meet that annual need? And over time, of course, that need's going to grow as inflation and other things impact it. And how are we going to reach that increasing need over the next couple of decades? So that's the first thing to make note of. Now, let me clear my drawings here, because the next thing is going to be the actual accounts. How are we breaking these down, and how are we what is the order of operations here? So you'll see we have several accounts in here, and they all have their own sort of color assigned to them. Now, by default, what income by source is going to do here is it's going to select, okay, first we're going to withdraw from those taxable accounts, then we'll move to those non-taxable, and then the non-asset-based income like Social Security or maybe those income riders. So you can see here on the graph, those blue chips or those blue accounts are first drawn from. Then once that Social Security kicks in or those income riders kick in, you'll see those green chips start to fill in those bars a little bit. And then account number two at that purple will come in as a non-taxable account as well to fill in that extra need as we move on through the decades. So it's a really easy way to show clients where those dollars are coming from, what accounts are being pulled from to meet that annual or that income need, and anything that exceeds that need. So if we have some sort of large expense event, maybe I can't remember what we added in there, but maybe like it's a home purchase or a vehicle purchase, whatever it might be, it's going to show up above that need, that income need line as a dashed line there, showing you that, okay, this year, that's when that expense event is going to occur, and we're going to exceed that need. And here is where which account is going to fill that need. So it's a really cool way to visually show this. And there's a few things up here on top too to talk about. So we have something like our portfolio longevity. We have showing you exactly how long this is going to last you. Our annual income floor, which is a pretty interesting number here. This is showing you how much of your annual need is actually going to be reached from that guaranteed income, right? Those income riders, those social securities, whatever those income sources are, those guaranteed income sources are. We're going to show you how much of that annual need you're reaching with those, and then the estate value there as well. So really cool way to show, of course, that decumulation phase, again, where that money is coming from. Now, another piece to this is you can incorporate those stress tests again here, like Stephanie showed you. If you want to add in those pieces as an extra layer here, you totally could. But the next piece to this is actually account balances. So this is a relatively new piece. Account balance is going to show you, okay, what is the actual dollar value of these accounts going to look like as we move through the years. And it's going to be a very simple illustration, just like before, very similar too, in that we're still going to assign those colors and it's going to be sort of sweeping up to the right here. But as you hover over each one of these, it's going to give you a breakdown of each one of those accounts. So we have account number one and account number two here, and how and we don't have, of course, the income rider or Social Security here because those are our income, our guaranteed incomes here. We're not withdrawing from those. But account number one, account number two, it's showing us as we move through the years, what are the account balances going to look like year over year? And just a really simple illustration there as well. So that's income by source, a very really simple tool to use. Generally, the idea with Income Center overall is it's a simple way to illustrate these things, right? It might be a great way for you to facilitate these conversations or spark these conversations and then move into a more in-depth financial planning process. Maybe you use something like Money Guide to talk about that with clients, or maybe you use this as a way to engage with prospects to show them, hey, this is your current portfolio. This is the proposed portfolio that I'm showing you. Mine has a better probability of success. Mine has a better outlook. So it might be sort of a way to make that sale as well. But a really simple tool, again, just maybe to act as that springboard or to spark conversation. So, Stephanie, anything you want to add there? Anything I might have missed for those two?
Nothing I can think that you missed. No, I definitely encourage folks to go in here. We'll give you some time today as well to go in and add specifically a timeline event and maybe click over to that income by source, see like the changes that you make on the timeline, how that affects your income projections for your client. So definitely go in there and experiment a little bit. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I know Ian and I love retirement maps, love Income Center. So we'll give you some time to practice. Hopefully you'll come to love it too. And then we'll come back. If you have any questions as you're going through the activity, definitely drop those in the Q&A, and we'll keep an eye on those.
Awesome. Alrighty, welcome back everyone once again. Thank you for taking the time to engage with that and the polls as well. We always love seeing some poll responses there, so thank you for that. But moving on, Stephanie, the next thing we're going to talk about here is deliverables, right? So I'll pass it over to you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yes, let's talk about deliverables. You have a handful of good options in nitrogen. Imagine you've put in all of this work to put your client or prospect information in nitrogen. You've talked about their retirement outlook with them and all of that, and you want to provide, a tangible takeaway or deliverable for your client or prospect. You can absolutely do that. So from the Create Report button in the upper right corner of any client profile, you can access Reports Builder, or you can also jump up to the Reports tab at the top of your Nitrogen account. So from Reports Builder, this is where you can come in and sort of customize what you want your report to contain. So if you're thinking specifically about the retirement map and the income components that we talked about today, you could create a portfolio snapshot. Your retirement map would be included there. If you want a little bit more, you could create the investment policy statement. Now, these are foundational templates that you start with when it comes to making a report. So let's say we want something a little bit more robust. I'm going to start with the investment policy statement template. And I can scroll through and see that the IPS has a lot. We have the client's risk tolerance information, portfolio information. Maybe you want to create a deliverable that's just highlighting the retirement map, the income components that you talked about. You can take this IPS, pretty much just remove everything else. So you can come in just from the very top. You've got stress tests. Maybe you want to keep or remove those, take out like heat maps and holdings and things like that. So we're going to customize this report a little bit more. We're going to make it retirement map centric. So we can come in here. If there are any elements that you want to add into the report, maybe you have that retirement map piece and you also want to include the client's risk tolerance or something like that. You can absolutely do that. So we've customized that. We can fill in the client's information and portfolio or proposal over here on the right-hand side. And then you can change or update, save, I should say, if I can find the right words here. At the very top, under the report template actions, if you've customized this report template, you can save it as a new template. And so maybe this is your like income report deliverable or whatever you want to call it. If you're just highlighting that component, you can go in and generate that report and it will create your report with just the right information that you need. So we're going to generate this really quickly just so you can see what the deliverable looks like. Obviously, everything has a cover page included by default. You can go into your account settings and add logo and contact information and the like. But here's that retirement map page, a whole page dedicated to the information that you built into the retirement map, including those timeline events. So that's a pretty cool view there. So again, if you wanted a deliverable that's focused on just the retirement map, or if you create a deliverable that includes the retirement map and income planning as a part of your report, you can absolutely do that. You may have an option at the top to email it to your client directly from here. You can also just print and download. So we give you control over that. We don't save these in nitrogen, but you can, download them digitally. We have lots of advisors that we hear from who do that and sort of keep it in their digital filing system for their firm. So that's a great use case. But that's Reports Builder. Highly recommend going in there and creating yourself a report template that you really like. And if you customize it, save that so you can repeat it and scale and streamline that report workflow in the future. So yeah, that's a really quick overview of the report builder creating a retirement map report. Ian, anything else that you would mention? Any other pro tips before we go into kind of our takeaways for today?
I don't think so. I think you nailed it, Stephanie. I think we're good to move on. So I'll move us here to kind of our outro because I want to give us a little bit of time for Q&A. But before we do that, just a few more resources for you guys. So as I mentioned in the beginning, we are going to have a survey that will go out after today's session. We'd love if you guys could fill that out for us. But just some key takeaways from our session today. So again, I kind of talked about how this might be a great way to engage with prospects, maybe even act as a precursor to building out a full financial plan using that retirement map to make those comparisons between, hey, here's our current, here's that proposal, and it really helps you visualize that plan, that those next couple of decades and leading up into retirement, and then also the decades after retirement, so accumulation and decumulation. So again, very simple way to break all this detail down. And like Stephanie just showed us, a great way to have some client-ready reports to serve as a roadmap for client or prospect action as well. So those are some key takeaways, basically what we covered today. And we would love for you guys to practice what you learned. So we gave you some time today in the session, but use the tools that we have for you guys. Jump into the help center, jump into your own account, play with these things, build out a retirement map for your client, jump into the income and expense events and generating those reports. And of course, the income by source too, taking a look at that, just familiarizing yourself with the lay of the land. And then also, if you're going to get a little bit lazy like me, use Nucleus because that might be a great thing to do to generate those maps as well. So with that, though, again, just want to call out here one more time. As we move to the next slide, we do have that session after session survey. We're also going to launch a little bit of just a closing poll here for you guys to capture more of your thoughts. And then if you have any questions, you want to reach out to me or Stephanie directly, you can email us anytime, coaching@nitrogenwealth.com. We would love to hear from you guys. And then in terms of training resources, we went over a bunch today already. Again, that help button there, use that, leverage that guy. That's going to be sort of your North Star in terms of where you can get help. Inside there, you'll see those short video guides. Stephanie, I always recommend those because they are quick, they're easy, they're going to get you the help you need pretty quickly for workflows and features. And then if you guys need extra help, like I said, support is always available. You can reach out via phone, live chat, or the email right there on the screen, support@nitrogenwealth.com. And then we're going to move into Q&A. So we're going to go cameras off. We'll meet you guys in the Q&A box there. Again, drop your questions inside that Q&A box, and we'd love to answer them for you. Alrighty, well, we are at time, folks. So thank you all so much for your questions. If there's anything that we missed, we will follow up with you via email. And if you want to reach out to us directly, again, coaching@nitrogenwealth.com. You can always reach Stephanie, me, and team there. And we look forward to seeing you all in a future session. Stephanie, thank you so much for being here today. And yeah, we'll see you all next time.
Awesome. See you next time, everybody.
Thanks, guys.